Hey there, Leroy. Can you hear?
Howdy. How are you?
Just fine. Can you hear me?
Oh, you are loud and clear tonight.
Okay. So last minute switch over to
To staying home.
yeah.
Yeah, I was actually on the highway when Jim called me and said, "I think we're going to stay home." I said, "I think that's a good idea because it was visibility was down to about a car. I could see maybe the car in front of me.
So it was raining or
Oh, it
or
was it was pouring. It was an absolute downpour, and I was like, "Yes, I'm going home." So, um, of course, as soon as I got off the highway, it pretty much cleared up. But
yeah, we had some pretty heavy downpour in Milford this afternoon. So
yeah,
actually this morning and this afternoon.
well, if you looked at the tornado warning that they posted, let's see if I could see it, find it. Uh, it was most of Indiana. Well, it's still going on. We've still got a warning or a watch until 10 p.m.
Uh-huh.
But it was most of Indiana and most of Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow. Okay.
that whole area right there. And I mean, it's still kind of iffy outside,
Yeah.
but it's not raining. So
So are so do you guys have a cellar you can go to if things get really bad?
no, we're on the top floor. So
Oh, yeah, but
we're
I thought maybe they would have a shared tornado cellar downstairs.
not that I am aware of. Um,
Okay.
we're I I'll knock on some wood because in the 51 years that I have been alive and pretty much lived in this same area, we have never really had a tornado. We've had strong winds, but we've never really had a tornado. So,
Well, I had not while I was there, but my father and mother had a tornado in their backyard in Columbus, Ohio.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it was just um, I don't know if it was raining or not because by the time this happened, this was probably in the late 70s, early 80s, something like that. I had been living out of state for almost 20 years at that point, certainly 15 years. So I wasn't there. But my dad said he saw this kind of swirligig coming through the yard, and
it's never good to see a swirly gig coming through the yard.
yeah, well, it actually took out a couple of trees. So
Yeah.
turns
Well,
out.
I mean, to the north of us where Xenia is, they get tornadoes all the time, but
Uh-huh.
we seem to be, in an area. I'm not saying that it won't happen. I'm just saying that it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened yet.
Well, are you south of the lateral moraine? In other words, are you in where it starts to get hilly, or are you
Yes,
still
yes, yes, yes. We're very much in hills.
okay?
Yes.
Because north of you, Ohio flattens out, and it's pretty well flat all the way to Lake Erie.
Right. Right.
And
Yes.
Columbus was certainly the lateral moraine was south of Columbus, so we were pretty flat. There was some hilliness caused by uh, rivers going through the area, but
Well,
the big piles of stuff that you got down towards Cincinnati was not there. So
right. That's what I always tell Patty, she's always worried about tornadoes and whatever. And I'm like, we live on top of a hill. It's probably going to bounce over top of us.
I don't know. You're better off at the top of a hill or bottom of a hill. I always assumed that the top of the hill was what would get wiped out.
Well, when we lived in Middletown, that was down in the valley. So it was, and Middletown, there are some hills, but it's mostly flat. And I always thought that the tornadoes would jump from hill to hill, so Franklin would get hit. But I got to tell Patty something.
I understood the purpose of the story.
I got to tell her something.
Yeah.
So,
Well, is she not from around there?
no, she is. She just gets freaked out by stuff.
Well, one more story. Okay. When I first moved to California, I was building a team in the company I was in of technologists and so forth. And I recruited quite a number of engineers. And there was this one engineer who was from Eastern Europe, someplace or another, who I recruited. And, in the interviews and so forth and so on, he said, well, what about earthquakes and so forth and so on? And well, we occasionally feel a little shaker, but nothing very seriously. This was prior to the one in the Bay Area in 1989, which really messed things up badly.
Right.
Any rate, so later on, so we hired him, and he came, and like a lot of people moved to California, end up in an apartment, at least at first. And so I heard from somebody who said, no, he got an apartment on the bottom floor, specifically bottom floor, because he was concerned about earthquakes. Well, of course, the rest of the story is that a month or two after he started there, we had a minor earthquake. And of course, we have minor earthquakes on a frequent basis, but not enough to even to knock the water glass off your table. And so next thing I know, man, he's in my office and resigning, and he was going back to New Jersey. I thought, in this situation, there is no way I'm going to attempt to talk him out of it, because he was just terrified.
Yeah.
And people get hung up on various things. I mean, people get hung up on hurricanes and tornadoes. And of course, there are some areas particularly in the Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska area and so forth, where they're a serious matter, and they'll come through and wipe out a whole area of a small town and so forth and so on. But Ohio, I don't know how many people are killed by tornadoes in the last 100 years, but I would guess that they probably killed more people choking on chicken bones than they did with tornadoes.
Wow.
The main thing that I remember as a kid, in northern Ohio and up into Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
there were a fair number of tornadoes. And the most common thing to happen was trees and wires got knocked down.
Yep.
And oh, there's Jim.
Yeah.
Hey there, Jim.
Howdy.
Hey, I see. So you pulled the plug on the meeting at the last minute, huh? Well, pretty much the last minute.
Yeah, we had a tornado watch. We decided it was best not to have the meeting.
Oh, that sounds like a good idea. I guess Leroy was saying he was already in transit when he got the call.
It was pouring down rain too. It was just pouring down rain. So I put a link.
Oh yes,
There's been a few people killed between 1950 and 1995 is when their data stops. So I would imagine that the number has gone up, but they say 173 people in Ohio have been killed by tornadoes.
Well, they seem to be in big clumps, though.
Yes.
I noticed in 1974, there were 42 deaths.
42, and then in 65, there were 62.
Yep.
And in 53, there were 17. Those look like the biggest.
Yeah, and there are a lot of injuries when those happen too.
Yep.
Mhm.
There were also in 74, there were 23 tornadoes that hit. So a lot of tornadoes, and
Yeah, that's a pretty high number. Yeah.
32 tornadoes hit in 65.
But in 73, where there were less deaths and less injuries,
Yeah.
there was 43. That's a real high watermark.
That is a huge number.
Yeah,
Wow.
I guess.
Well, I don't know. Do you know, Jim, did that McDonald's that just got built in Monroe, did they actually finally comply with what Monroe wanted and build their building to withstand hurricanes?
Hurricanes or tornadoes?
Hurricanes. That was, that's what everybody said.
We did have a hurricane here. We did.
We had hurricane winds. We had winds that came from the hurricane.
Well, if it gets I think it's classified as a hurricane if it gets above a certain number of miles per hour. I don't know, 100 miles per hour or whatever. But and now they have these categories.
Yeah.
You know, they've micro parsed it down into.
Oh, you had what was that? 6 years ago, 7 years ago, that really bad hurricane, and then the winds pretty much swept up here, and it caused some damage, but it was just wind. It wasn't a hurricane. It was just a bunch of wind.
We went without power for
a
day.
Yeah, we were without power for 3 days, but I mean, that was really the worst of it, was no power.
So Jim, with your independence there, I would have thought you had a motor generator on the ranch there.
Oh, absolutely. When I say we were without power, we were without external power.
Oh, so you do have local.
We bought a little 2,500 watt enough to keep the refrigerator running.
Yeah.
Now, is this one of these gas-fired things?
Yeah, it's a single cylinder, 2,500 Chinese. We got it at Aldi's, sold it for $150.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Does that include the switch gear to connect it to your wiring system?
We don't need no stinking switch gear. I've had generators for 40 years. Just you throw the main breaker and bring it in on one of the branches, and don't go crazy.
Oh, so you don't do the whole house, you just put it in a single branch?
I do half the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
I bought,
Open the main breaker and bring it in and just plug it into a regular outlet. You know, you're gonna be limited to 15 amps, but that's fine. And you're gonna get half the house.
So that will take care of keeping things like refrigerators and so forth going, which a number of years ago, my parents, a tree fell across the power lines behind their house and took out not the low power lines, but the ones that go on the top of the pole, or I don't know, several thousand volts, and feed a whole area.
Yeah.
And they were without power for a couple of weeks. And among other things, they had a big freezer in the cellar and they lost all of the food in there and so forth and so on. Because normally you'd think, well, why don't you take it to one of your relatives or something? But the north end of Columbus, everybody was in the same boat, so there was no way to save it.
Yeah, yeah. I've synced up my generators to the network before and locked in before. I've worked on, you know, up to 500 megawatt generators, so I've been around.
Yeah.
my generator was very, very simple. And I bought it after we lost power and then never had the opportunity to use it.
And that's the way it usually works.
But mine was very, very simple. I would unplug the refrigerator and run an extension cord out to it and plug it into the generator and be done with it.
There you go.
So this was a gasoline generator?
Yeah, I had I probably was, I don't know. It was probably the same one that Jim had, because I got it for like $150, $200, something like that. And I bought it just after that storm came through, going, okay, we can't afford to be without power. And then I never had the opportunity to actually use it. But I did verify that it would work, that it would actually do what I wanted it to do. So
Jim, is yours gasoline or natural gas?
It's gasoline.
gasoline.
Yeah, up here you really don't need it. I used to have a 10 kW with a Jeep engine and a Zenith carburetor. Ask me how I know it's a Zenith carburetor.
Because somebody had to replace it once.
Somebody had to rebuild it. Yeah.
Well, those
Hand crank with a front crank thing. Oh yeah, like a Model T.
I had mine in a little tiny like garden thing that was meant to keep garbage cans in, just to keep the weather off of it, because it just had exposed outlets on it, you know. So I figured it's not safe to run it out in the weather completely, so we'll just keep it inside this little tiny shed thing. And
yeah, well,
never had the opportunity to use it.
Every time they have a major hurricane in the Florida area, you hear about somebody getting electrocuted because they went out to work on their generator in the middle of a rainstorm.
Yeah.
And,
The main thing with the generator is make sure they're grounded.
Yeah.
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 If you don't ground them, you could get shocked bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the average Joe who goes to Home Depot and buys a generator probably
I saw a guy that kind of did what Jim's talking about, only he ran it clear into his entire house. It was a little teeny tiny generator. And I hear him out there one day cussing and none of my stuff's working, blah, blah, blah. Well, you idiot. You can't run an entire house off of, 2 watts. I mean,
yeah.
That thing is meant to run your refrigerator and maybe
Yeah.
a couple of lights, and that's it.
But don't turn on your toaster or
No.
whatever you.
Yeah, that'll load it up.
He was sitting there, stuff's getting hot and I don't understand. It should just power everything. Yeah, you don't understand. Go away. Here,
Right,
plug your refrigerator into this and be done with it.
right. Well, I think I don't know, the high efficiency refrigerators now, I don't know what they draw, but I don't think they draw very much. As long as you don't keep flipping the door open and shut so that the compressor comes on.
Yeah. I don't know. All I know is that I verified that it would do what I wanted it to do, and then I never used it. That's all I know. I spent money on something I would never use.
Yeah, my latest refrigerator's got a drive in it. Yeah, the later ones have drives in it, so that helps your startup.
Really?
Yep. If you got a Sanyo, chances are Samsung, chances are it has a drive, and any of the later models are going to have a drive in it.
Well, we're about ready to replace ours here in California. So the one in New Jersey, Knockwood, New Jersey, the one in Ohio, I haven't lived in New Jersey for 42 years.
I forgot where he was.
Well, you know, it's easy to lose track of where you're living, but in any case, mine yeah, there I go again, in Ohio, in Milford, is relatively new, but the one we've got here in California is probably pushing 20, 25 years, something like that. I think we replaced that in sometime in the 90s. We've lived in this house since 86, but I think we replaced the refrigerator sometime in the 90s, and it's getting a little noisy, and I'm sure it's not a very high efficiency unit. So I'm gonna have to go shopping. I bought that one. I think the cost of premium refrigerators was maybe $400, something like that. Now I think get the impression they're up around $1,000 to $1,500, something like that.
Yeah, you get the French doors, 16. Yeah.
Yep. Well, my daughter and son-in-law got one just this last year, and it's got 3 doors on it. It's got a side-by-side arrangement, and then the freezer area is, let me think about that, is below. The freezer area is down below, and then there's a side-by-side on the upper half. And at any rate, but I hesitate to ask them what they paid for it.
We've got a 4-door. It's the French door tube top and the drawer on the bottom, which all the cold goes to the bottom naturally. So that's a good arrangement.
Yeah.
And you have good access. And it has the right-hand door is a double door. If you grab the right handle and pull it open, then it opens normally. If you squeeze a little button and pull it open, it only the top part opens up for all your condiments and stuff.
Wow. Okay.
And the back side of that door has a cooling metal piece in it. So the back side of it's cool electrically. It's one of those DC.
Like a piezo buzzer or a piezo.
No, it's
a semiconductor material.
Peltier.
Yeah.
A Peltier.
Peltier. Yeah.
Peltier. Yeah. I knew when I said piezo that wasn't right.
Piezo is
It's the buzzer thingy.
is the buzzer thing. He says yes.
Yeah.
Peltier effect. And it's the thermoelectric effect, basically, in English. So,
Yep. Those are, those coolers are very neat. Those are neat coolers.
And the bottom of those was about 1,600 and ours was that was like 5 years ago. So,
yeah,
I saw one not too long ago. I think it was at Lowe's that it's basically a 2-door deal. The freezer was on top, which, that's the way it used to be, but it had like a little sliding door in the main door. And in that sliding door, that's where you could put like a milk jug or ketchup or something. There was just like a quick access door so you didn't open the big door to get your condiments or
yeah,
something that you would use all the time.
and
Yep.
that's what this is. The left door and the right door. The right door is 2 pieces, though. You can just take the front of it off, or you can open the whole thing. So that's cute.
Yeah.
The main thing to watch out for is check your ice makers, because we've had hell with the ice makers.
well,
We don't need no stinking ice makers.
they're very nice, I gotta tell you.
Oh yeah, it's the old Half Moon ice maker, which should never give anybody trouble. Once every 10 years, you might have to defrost it. But this thing, they didn't do. They got an electronic level sensor. No, you want the old arm. You remember the old arm that used to swing out to check the
Yeah.
ice? That's the one to get, because the electronic one is crap.
Well, my war story on ice makers was early on when they had first started putting ice makers in the refrigerator. This is in the 70s, early 70s. We had a big side by side, and the narrow door had the ice maker in it. So at any rate, one day I'm sitting down in my office and working, and I'm hearing this drip, 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 drip. I thought, somebody didn't shut off a faucet someplace or whatever. So I went out, and I was at home by myself. I went out, and my office was one half a stairway. This is a split level house, half a stairway down from the kitchen. So I look around, I can't identify anything. I go up in the kitchen, and there's water all over the floor. And what had happened is the shutoff valve in the ice maker had not shut off. And dumb me, rather than realizing what was going to happen, I yanked open that side door, and it was probably full to about chest high, something like that. I had a hell of a mess on my hands.
Yeah.
But what the dripping I was hearing was this: the water on the floor in the kitchen was dripping through, was finding a way through a hole in the floor someplace, maybe where the pipe comes up back of the refrigerator. And what I was hearing was drops of water dropping from the kitchen floor down into the basement below. And we had a particularly deep basement. I think our basement to the rafters was 10 or 11 feet, something like that. And of course, that was enough distance, so you got a pretty good splash when it hit the floor. But that was, and as a matter of fact, because of that, I swore off ice makers for years. Now, this was in probably 1973, 74, someplace along in there. So obviously in 45 years or so, the technology and quality control and whatever has improved. But I will never forget that. And then my wife came home and chewed me out because I had caused the the ice maker to leak or whatever. Anything that had to do with technology, my first wife blamed on me.
Well, you know, it's your fault.
Well,
All technology is your fault, Art.
yes, that's true. That is definitely true. Well, the opening the door was definitely my fault. I mean, on the other hand, I don't know what I would have done to get the water out of there if I hadn't opened the door. I would have probably shut off the water valve first, because the way the ones that I've had works is you have a 1/4 inch water tube going someplace or another, which you can shut off. Sometimes it's under a cabinet. One place I was actually in my parents' house, they had a full basement and it went through the floor underneath the refrigerator. And then there was a shutoff valve before it went into a copper pipe. And so I suppose I could have done that. But by the time I heard it dripping, the damage was already done. And I mean, when I opened that door, of course, it went, you know, it's amazing how a few gallons of water, when spread out on the floor, what kind of a mess. It went through the kitchen, the dinette area, the formal dining room, and out into the living room. And it was a real mess.
My mom's old refrigerator, long time ago, it had a ice maker in it, and it did something like that where the freezer actually stopped working. It wasn't the ice maker. I don't think it was the freezer. So the freezer wasn't freezing ice, and it was just full of water. But whoever made that refrigerator was actually kind of forward thinking, and there was a drain plug on the freezer. So you pull the drain plug, and hopefully you have a pan or a pail or something to catch all the water. And for the most part, that seemed to solve the problem.
So the freezer was on the top?
The freezer was on the top, yeah. But whoever designed that freezer had a tube from the top. It was actually, the tube was connected to like the center of the top, and it was kind of angled in, so all the water would run into this tube, and you just open the drain plug on the tube, and hopefully it all drains out.
Yeah.
But I don't remember who made that refrigerator. I know that had to have been 20 years ago. It was an old refrigerator. It was an old refrigerator when she got it. She bought it used. And the ice maker never did really work right, but she had it hooked up. But it was actually the freezer part that was the problem, not the ice maker part.
Well, in my case, it was, oh, what do we got here? Got a new camera?
Should be coming in today. It's a 4:1 zoom, full power. 5 megapixel.
How much?
Well, I don't pay, I get their refurbs. This is $60.
Oh, okay. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Is this indoor, outdoor, or indoor only, or what?
Indoor, outdoor.
So it's relatively weatherproof then?
Yeah, it's the regular weatherproof. It's a regular outdoor camera.
But it's zoom.
Yeah, it's got a motor in it.
So it's actually not electronic zoom, it's a mechanical zoom.
Yep. It's an optical zoom. To have an optical zoom, you got to have mechanical. So
That's neat.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it is. But you'll find a lot of refurb Rio links, and I've got like 4 or 5 of them now, and I just love the refurbs because you can buy this one for $60. That's a steal. This is $100, at least $100 camera,
Mhm.
and the E1 Pros, which include 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. You can get those PTZ there. You can get those for $30. Now they've gotten a little more. You have to pay 35 these days for them. But this one's pretty good. It looks pretty good ratings. It's not the latest one either, but we're getting there.
Yeah, I've got a E1 Pro. And I have it. It's interesting. I haven't, in order for me to see what my rain gauge is doing, it's an electronic rain gauge. I've got it, the camera pointed at the rain gauge so I can see what the reading on the rain gauge is. You okay there, Leroy?
Think I'm hearing thunder.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
all.
you know what I bought? I bought it's an Accurite brand, but they make weather stuff along with Oregon Scientific and Lacrosse and so forth and so on. So for $19 from Amazon, I got a lightning detector
Really? For $19?
for $19.
Wow, that's cheap.
And yeah, look it up on Amazon. It's let me see if I can find it real quick here. I thought it was a pretty good deal. Now I haven't tested it yet because we haven't had rain in the area where I am for about 2.5 years. And I don't think that we don't generally get a lot of thunderstorms, but let me just take a look at my order, see if I can find it. Yeah.
Is it the
No.
06045?
Well, I'm trying to find it here.
Okay.
06045M.
It's $22 right now.
When I bought it, it was
That's still cheap. That's
when I bought it, it was I guess it was 21, 22, something like that. At any rate, takes 4 AA batteries. And so my grand plan is that I put batteries in it and I'm going to ship it to my daughter in Loveland and have her toss it on the shelf. And she said, well, is this going to make a lot of noise and so forth? I said, depends on how much lightning you have. But I said, you can always take it over and put it on the counter in my house. And, well, that way you won't be able to hear it. But the other thing is, the interesting thing about it is, I have one of my SDR dongles set up to capture 433.92 megahertz pulse streams. And so I'm picking up all of my temperature sensors, my rain gauge, plus, as it happens, all of my neighbors. Those pulse streams, they travel ways, okay? And I get every TPMS that comes up and down the street. so forth and so on. And I've got ADT there, and I've got probably, I'm guessing 30 sensors that they've got, and they have those on 433.92. And they basically, it saves them from wiring the house. Basically, they put these little gizmos in the doors. You have a magnet on one half of the deal, and embedded in the frame, you've got the sensor and the transmitter. And so when you open the door, the magnet moves away and it triggers it, and so forth and so on. And then every window, we've got a one of these magnets and reed switch gizmos, and all of those devices are wireless. And so we got one for every window in the house that opens. We have one window that does not open. And then we have some transom windows that don't open either. But if somebody wants to break the transom and crawl in over the transom, over shreds of glass, I figure give them a break, right? But we've got, I don't know, we must have 20, 30 sensors total there. And then we've got a motion detector, and all of those are on this 433.92. And so what I'm doing is on my workstation, I've got this dongle, and I capture JSON, I don't know what you call them.
Strings.
Packet, strings, JSON strings.
Yeah.
So I've got recordings of every rain gauge thing, every sensor, all the TPMSs in the neighborhood, so forth and so on. The only thing that I don't pick up is my garage door opener, and for some reason or other, those jokers didn't put that on 433.92. They put that on, I don't know, 350 or some other frequency. So I can't simultaneously pick up the two. Hey, Vicente, how you doing?
Great. How are you?
Fine.
A lot of rain here.
Yeah, so I see. Well, in my house in Milford there, we have had 6 and a fraction. Let me see if I can bring it up here.
Inches? No.
Let's see. I reset it before I left Ohio, and the rain gauge is now reading 6.81 inches.
Wow, this is a lot of water.
That's a lot of water.
Yeah, wow.
And how much of that came? that was all within like a few hours, right?
Well, actually, no.
No,
This is California 20 years.
Well, what I've observed in Milford, at least, is we tend to get 2 or 3 days when we get a lot of rain.
Yeah.
And then we'll go for a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
no rain at all. And then 2 or 3 days and we'll get a lot of rain. So it seems to come in bursts.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's because we're picking up a tail end of a hurricane from south of us, or what it is.
Like waves from the southwest, waves of rain, of low pressure or whatever.
Yeah, well, I wish we had a way to transport a little of it. Yeah, it's coming down there too.
There it is.
This is live.
Yep.
Live view. Wow.
Wait a minute, is that?
This is Monroe. Right?
Is that hail?
It's we have the possibility of getting hail, so it very possibly could be hailing.
I don't hear the noise, and you can hear this. It's just water now.
Yeah. Big drops, though.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's getting close to a frog strangler.
Okay. I notice it's not slowing down the trucks on the road.
Yeah. They go
Rain.
faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thunder.
Yeah, so at any rate, I'm gonna get my lightning tester tested by my daughter and see.
It says that it will go, its range is up to 25 miles.
Yep,
So that's
that's
pretty good. Lightning detected with strong wireless range up to 300 and some odd feet.
now the way it works as a device by itself is apparently once it gets so many strikes, it sets off a buzzer, and the buzzer runs for a couple of minutes or so and then shuts off until the next lightning. So I figured I'd add that to my weather repertoire. Well, the thing is, in Ohio, particularly in the summer, you get a lot of electrical storms. Whereas here, if and when we get rain, electrical storms are pretty rare. Of course, we don't get that kind of rain. I mean, we haven't seen 6 inches of rain in the last 5 years, I don't think. I mean, basically large portions of California that aren't mountains is desert, and without irrigation, nothing grows. But the Central Valley is where most of the water is used. So I will report back once I get a full report from my daughter also how this thing works. It's scheduled to be shipped to her. So problem is I put disposable lithium ion batteries in it. And my wife said, do you have a bunch of lithium ion batteries in that thing? And I said, sure. She says, well, I can't send it USPS now because they send things by air and you can't do that. And I thought, and apparently these fixed cost boxes they have at USPS now, they're, flat rate. Apparently you'd have to swear that they don't contain any of a list of stuff that you're not supposed to ship that way.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to go UPS ground. I know they're real inquisitive about when you get on an airplane these days, they're real inquisitive about what you have in your checked baggage. They don't seem to care much about what you put in your carry-on, but I know the last few times I've gotten queried about, do you have any lithium ion batteries in your luggage?
Yeah.
So apparently they're real sensitive about that. But one of the advantages, there are 3 advantages of the disposable lithium ion batteries. One is they hold more energy, meaning they last longer for a given load. Two is they will tolerate a wider temperature range. So they will tolerate down to something like -40, which means if you're putting something outside, you really want the lithium ion, not the alkaline. And three, they swear that they will not leak under any circumstance. Well, I'm not sure I believe that, but I have, even with modern alkaline batteries, I have enough of them have leaked over the years that I'm real skeptical about leaks. Because it's not so bad that the battery goes bad. The problem is that they get this corrosive liquid all over the inside of whatever you got them in, and then you basically have to throw that out.
Have you guys heard of Martha Wells?
Name sounds familiar.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I'm reading old books again, which I've never read. She does the Murderbot series.
Murderbot.
Leroy, Murderbot.
Murderbot, new to me.
She's a reincarnation of Asimov.
Oh, okay.
And it's very pleasant reading.
Mary Wells.
Yeah.
Mary Wells.
Let me show you
The
here.
Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells.
Yeah.
No, Martha, not Mary. Okay.
Martha. So does she also have 3 laws of robotics?
I haven't heard that yet. She didn't hit those. But if you listen to what she's saying, what you like about it is the same thing you liked about Asimov.
Right.
So it's really good reading. I've read the Free Future. No, I read All Systems Red twice. Jeez.
So there's 6 books to the series.
I don't know how many there are total. You can't, in the audiobook, you can't get them all at one time because they're busy. She's popular.
All right. I will check it out because I like reading stuff like that.
Usually when I catch them, I'm way behind you guys. I'm surprised. Leroy didn't know who that was. Man.
Martha
Wells. Wells.
Interesting. I will check her out.
Yeah, she's got a series of them.
Somebody's ringing.
Yeah. Let me mute myself here.
I put links in the chat to what I found just quickly.
Okay. Got it.
Looks like there's
one of them was the Wikipedia. Okay.
yeah. One of them's her actual website, apparently.
Okay. Well, I got some relatively bad news recently. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I was got an email saying that my library card at Claremont County Library was expiring and I had 30 days to renew it. And I thought, okay, how do I do that? Well, it turns out there's no online renewals. You basically have to present yourself at the library with a photo ID in order to renew. So I guess it's just going to expire. I don't know if there's a grace period or whatever, but I currently do not plan to be back in Milford within 30 days. So
We'll have a new ID in the library then, a new number. What happens if you go later? You need to take a new ID or a new number. That's it.
uh-huh.
No problem.
Mine's complicated always because I gotta prove that I'm eligible for a library card in Ohio
Oh,
because I am
'Cause-
a resident of California.
Mm.
However, the fact that I spend, I don't know, 10 grand or more a year on property tax apparently qualifies me, but I've got to, you know,
My library card, that thing is, I know it's got to be 30 years old.
well,
I don't think it's ever, I've never heard of it expiring, but it still works. It still works at a midpoint.
I think as long as it's active, it probably auto renews, but absent active, at least in Clermont County,
Yeah,
they require you to physically present yourself every 3 years, and
that's interesting.
but-
I use that might have been at midpoint down there in Westchester once. And the girl looked at that and said, wow, that's an old library card. Cause that was Middletown Public Library wasn't even part of Midpoint, or Midpoint wasn't even considered to be a thing then.
Yeah. But I think Midpoint are very relaxed about everything, you know?
Yeah.
I never pay for late returns or whatever.
They've waived the late fees. They don't even have late fees anymore.
Yeah.
I think you got to come up with an excuse as to why you're late.
I have a couple of books that they say, okay, keep it. During the pandemic.
During the pandemic.
They say, okay, they expired. And I try to give them back and they say, no, you cannot put in the system again.
We don't want those.
What I do, keep it. Okay, I keep it.
We don't want those books.
Yes, it's
Go away.
It's a technical problem to put them again in the system. They cannot do it. So.
Well, here in Fremont, when COVID first reared its ugly head, Barbara had several books checked out of the Fremont Library, and she got I don't know, notice of some sort or another. I think it was an email saying, hang on to it until COVID's over. Well, that went on and on and on. Periodically,
Yes.
a new message. And finally they said, okay, you can drop them off at the drop box in front of the library. And so you do a drive-by, so to speak, and put your books in the little slot. But frankly, I haven't checked out a physical book. I don't know that if I've ever checked out a physical book there at the Clermont Library. I have checked out a lot of ebooks, both at the Clermont and at the Clermont and the Midpoint Library, because I have cards both places. But I've never, I don't think I've ever checked out a ink and paper book ever from either one of them.
I had at one time I had a library card from Dayton Public Library, which is an entirely different system, but I walked in, handed them my driver's license and handed them my Midpoint library card, and they said, no problem, here you go.
Well, in Ohio, most of the libraries are all linked together in the Ohio library system.
They have a system, yeah.
Yeah. But that library card, I mean, the last time I physically used it was just before the pandemic, and I had checked out a couple of books, and the girl was like, that is an old card, because Middletown Library isn't really a thing anymore. It's Midpoint. It's part of the Midpoint system. And I'm like,
Well,
yeah,
is Midpoint multiple libraries then?
yes, yeah, there's
3 or 4.
six.
Are they all in the same county?
It's all Butler County.
Okay.
There's also Lane Library System in Butler County, which is mostly in Hamilton, but I think there's a Lane in Oxford too. But that's a different system. But I walked into one of the Lane libraries with my old card, my old Middletown card, and they scanned it so I could use their 3D printer. It didn't have a problem taking it. So Claremont County must just be weird. They must just want to see you, Art.
Well, it's interesting, they have, in Claremont County, there are 6, maybe 7 individual libraries. And we
Independence.
got, well, I don't know. They're all part of the Claremont library system. So they all, are the same entity, but different physical locations. And we got a card.
Hang on. What?
Sirens are going off for a tornado. You want me to go get the mail?
Well, you don't have to get the mail then. It's down there on the floor. Don't get the mail if the sirens are going off.
Yeah, sirens are going off. But I see a tornado on it.
Sorry. Patty says the sirens are going off.
Does that mean there's a tornado spotted in the area or what?
It's a lighting thing.
Oh, she's right. They are going off. Wow.
Well, if you disappear from the screen, who becomes the host?
Probably the first person that joined. That would be you. That. Hang on.
You can share a screen. Can you share the sirens? Do you hear them in your area, Jim?
I don't hear them. I see there's a tornado watch, but we have a tornado watch.
Tornado watch. There is a tornado watch.
Let me turn on the radar here.
Let me share the.
How far can you hear those sirens?
I'm about 100 yards, 150 yards max, so I should hear them. They test them every Wednesday at noon.
Yeah, I think they do that all over Ohio. Because I remember as a kid, you heard the sirens go off Wednesday noon. At that time, they were part of the volunteer fire department system.
This is now display the animation.
I'm back.
Hi there. So all I see is a blank screen, Vicente.
Yeah, I'm sharing.
Does anybody else see something on the screen?
It's a blank screen. I see like
Okay, stop.
I see the Zoom meeting outline, but that's it.
Share. Screen 1, share. Now?
No.
Yep, there it is. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is,
So
now stop. This is 6 p.m. So we are having Middletown, New Miami here, Hamilton. There is something going there tomorrow.
That's me.
Yeah.
I'm in the clear right now.
Yeah,
Now, yes. And
yeah, that's what I did. I went outside to see.
yeah, but you
And then-
have something. Wow.
There's absolutely nothing going on out there right now.
No rain?
No rain, no nothing. So they must just be preparing for it coming up from Hamilton,
Now
7 Mile.
in 6:30, 6:35, 40, 50, 7 p.m.
So I'm assuming that the darkest red is the
is the worst.
highest.
Yes,
Sorry?
here, rain. You see at the bottom, rain in different levels. Red is the maximum.
Oh, so that indicates rain, not tornadoes. Okay.
Yeah.
No, you're looking for hooks though. So if there's a tornado, you're looking for like little hooks.
But there is a tornado watch here above the screen. You see?
Yeah,
So, you know,
you see this little tip down here?
Yeah.
That might start to develop in like a little hook, maybe. But you're looking for like little. They look like little hooky things.
yeah, this is 7:30. 7:30 is clear for tomorrow. Now, maybe raining in Lebanon by 7:10 p.m.
Well, you're in Franklin, right?
I'm in Franklin.
It's here.
And that looks about like what I see.
No, but now it's here. This is now 6 p.m. Right?
Yeah.
This is 6 p.m. now. You are clear.
Yeah.
But you are surrounded by rain. You see?
Yeah. Pretty much any direction I look, it's really dark. So
Yeah. Monroe is also without water now. And let's see, Milford is clear also. No water at Art House.
No water in Milford either, so you got no rain
But
on the
now,
West
look,
Coast. Oh, here it comes.
There we go.
Wish you were here.
In 20 minutes will be rain in Milford.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, Terrace Park there is pretty close to where I live. It's down off 275 there,
Yeah, okay.
right in there. Terrace Park is actually down by the river.
Terrorist Park. Yeah, that sounds like you live near there.
This is in Houston, this is ice. The magenta color means,
yeah. Yeah.
That could be hail. Or you think that's hail?
wow.
Yeah. It says ice.
Mhm.
That's weird.
And
Well, they said earlier today that the storm could produce hail. So
Barrington will have ice by 6:35. No, what is here in Newton?
Topher doesn't like rain. Yeah, you go bold.
Now they've seen something in these radar images that make them think that it's going to turn in the possibility of turning tornadic.
It's just a warning.
So there's some hooks in there somewhere that we're not seeing. That's my view outside right now. Well, a few minutes ago.
This is a weather station, or what are those things?
That
Internet?
that is a weather station.
Okay.
Can you hack into it?
No. But
You
this
might
is what
try,
oh.
you might try monitoring 433.92.
he changes. The guy that runs that weather station changes the stuff all the time. So the one that was up there when I first moved in is not the same one that's up there now. But the one that he had was in the 2.4 gigahertz range. And it
So
was
that's Wi-Fi then.
yeah, it was a very expensive setup. And this one looks like it's wired, like he's ran a wire across the ground.
Really?
Yeah, so I went, I don't know. And I saw at least part of his setup. He didn't really want to talk very much, but I saw at least part of his setup, and he's probably got 50 or 60 different weather devices in his cabinet.
Well, he used the cable for power. Maybe they use also the Ethernet cable or something in the same
For the power.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Does he live there in the same apartment complex?
Yeah, he's my downstairs next door neighbor. He's actually in the same building that I'm in, but he's like 2 doors over. So I don't know. It was a very strange conversation because maybe he just doesn't want people to know that he's doing it. I don't know.
I can't imagine why that would be a security issue.
I don't know. All I know is it was a strange conversation. And he was out there one day changing, and I was trying to talk to him about it, and he didn't really seem like he wanted to talk about it.
He probably said the same thing.
Probably. He probably did. He probably
Why is this guy Leroy
Why-
being so nosy about my
why
words?
is he talking to me about this?
Yes.
Of course, I have people asking me all the time about my ham radio stuff, so I don't know why that's so weird. I mean, you got hobbies, right? We all got hobbies.
Yeah.
So Patty risked her life to go out and get that little do flippy.
Oh, that came in the mail today?
That came in the mail.
Wow.
What is it?
That is a time of flight sensor.
Okay.
Um,
For the road, are you planning to use it instead of the ultrasonic?
yes, you've gotten ahead of me.
Yeah, but you have a couple of just one. Yeah, okay.
I said, while I'm at it, I might as well get a few.
Okay.
How
Um,
much were they?
4 of them were $19. That was
what's the-
shipping and tax.
What's the code of those chips?
The code of the VL53L0X.
No, just a moment. VL
Here, I can
53.
53.
I think mhm.
That's from eBay or
Yeah.
Amazon?
No, I bought them on eBay because
X.
they were I think 20 cents more on eBay, but no, they were like $2 more than buying them from China, but they were in Wilmington, North Carolina. So I said, I will pay $2 extra to get these things in a couple of days. And I
you
did.
check in Amazon? No.
No, I didn't check Amazon. I just went ahead and bought them from eBay because
Yeah.
it seemed like that was a decent price.
Amazon has 4 for $19.
Yeah, that's why I paid 19 and some change all total.
You can buy 2 for $10.99. Free shipping tomorrow.
Free shipping tomorrow. I paid, let's see, all total said and done, I paid $19.24. That was with tax and everything, shipped and
Are
everything.
they purple or black?
Uh, They look more black to me than purple. There's a VL 53L1 X that's a slightly different model, but for the cost and for what I thought I was going to try to accomplish, this one was going to work. Because the L1 is, I think it was $5 a piece or something like that.
So are you planning to use these to replace the ultrasonics on your robot?
Ultrasonics are gone. Yes. So the ultrasonics are not as stable as I was hoping they would be.
Is this because of the 3-volt rather than the 5-volt ones, or?
I really don't know why.
I bought a couple last year
Yeah.
in December 23. 2 of them.
So
For,
that's
$10.
Yeah, those look like they're purple. These look more black.
Yeah.
so that's 94, 940 nanometer.
This is a infrared or laser or whatever. I don't remember.
That's an infrared.
Yeah. It's emitter and
And receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, 940 would not be a laser, probably.
I2C.
940 nanometer.
Yeah.
Isn't that red?
No. That's
Yeah.
infrared. That's
Yeah.
infrared.
You have
Okay.
a way of change the I2C address to put both in the same network.
So I was reading about that, and apparently you can change the I2C, but you have to use the X shut pin to do it.
The GPI 01 maybe with a
Yes.
resistor or something.
The X shut, so you connect both of them up and you put a high on the X shut and it shuts this one down, and then you reprogram the other one. You tell the other one what IP address or what address you want, and then you bring this back up, and then you'll have two of them on different.
Okay, right.
But what I was going to do, I was just going to create with using the GPIO pins and the ESP32. I was just going to create two different
Okay, you have seven.
I2C things anyway, and it solved the problem. So
Hey there. Hi, Mike.
Oh, nobody home at the library.
No,
You didn't get the memo. We were playing
Which memo?
the memo that said we were staying home because of the tornado sirens.
Okay. But is in the mail from Jean?
Yeah,
Yeah, you should have received.
Yes, I see. Zoom.
two meeting announcements, yeah.
No,
Hey,
no, nobody checks their email.
says Zoom only.
Zoom only here.
Well, I got a nice tour of their maker space up there.
All right.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, they,
So I take it you went to the library.
oh yes, I work about 10 minutes away. So
Did you see?
once I got
getting
there,
it
then I double checked. That lady up there said she's looking for a newer 3D printer, or not 3D printer, laser cutter, because theirs is getting kind of old.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you tell her about?
That mean they're going to sell the old one for cheap?
Quite possibly.
I want first dibs. Did you tell him
I'm
about
sure-
Ray?
Yes. I mentioned Rabbit Laser, and while we were talking, she Googled him up already and said, oh, yeah, up in Middletown. So she might reach out to him.
Ray might be happy about that.
So what's that gizmo there, Leroy?
Well, while I was waiting for these sensors to come, it's the same sensor
Okay.
with M5 stack.
Okay.
So I was trying to verify, that it would actually work and it was fairly stable. And I'm actually moving a little bit, so it is actually fairly good. But when it says 20, like it does, that means that the sensor can't read.
Okay.
So
And what this number, millimeters or what? Whatever. You need to change.
I don't know. Their sketch wasn't clear about what that actually was going to be. It just says that it's the distance.
Or time or what?
It says distance. That's what it says. It
So
says
what were you pointing it at when we saw the number there?
The camera.
the
The monitor?
sensor's on this side. So the display's on this side. So it's pointing towards the green screen.
Okay.
So how far are you from the green screen?
Well, I don't know. I'd say 3 foot, maybe.
1.3 meters. Those
Yeah.
are millimeters.
So that's in meters.
Millimeters.
So
Isn't there another period there?
1,000 millimeters,
Yeah,
It's a meter.
centimeter.
Mhm.
That's maybe 3 foot.
that's
4
in
foot.
millimeters. So okay, so that number's in millimeters.
Let's see. So 300 millimeters, it would be what?
About a foot.
About a foot. Yeah, that's probably pretty close. I don't know if it has to be what I want is stable, something that's not bouncing all over the place, more than knowing exactly how far away something is.
So the problem with the acoustic was that they were bouncing around.
Yeah. And this, I had it sitting on the desk, just sitting, pointing at the computer, not moving at all. And it would vary slightly, 1 millimeter here or there, but it seemed like it was fairly stable. And if I put an averaging algorithm into it, It should
Yeah.
just average that out and give me a pretty constant, stable thing. At least that's what I'm hoping. And since I've got these to play around with now, I was going to order a couple more of these from M5 Stack and maybe move the whole project over to that thing and try to
Okay.
get it to work on a entirely different kind of platform. So my goal is I got it working fairly well on this thing. Now I want to see if I can get it working with different sensors, and if I can, I want to see if I can get it working with different wheels, different kind of thing altogether. Because ultimately, that would be the one that I want to use. Because this one, it slides left and right and forward and back, and so. But that's my goal, and I 3D printed me some little cases for it, and it turns out the cases are just slightly too small. So I'm going to have to scale them up just a little bit to fit the sensor in there. But I was thinking about just putting some rubber cement on there or something and just letting them.
It's transparent. It's blue or what? It looks
Looks
transparent.
green. Looks green. to
It's
me.
green, yeah. That's the green one. But I was thinking about just putting some rubber cement on them, just letting them sit there.
You can see through.
Oh,
So-
that's neat. They disappear. It's magic.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're being occluded by the green screen?
They're being at least these one this one was. Yeah. At least part of it. It just disappeared. How cool is that?
So what mode of sensing and measuring are you using on these new sensors, if not audio?
These are time of flight sensors. So they're using infrared.
Oh, okay.
So they're basically using a real short wavelength radar, so to speak.
But they do seem like they are way more stable, and that's what I want. I want stable. I don't, once I get some actual numbers in for the environment or whatever, it doesn't matter if it's 2 feet away or if it's 2,000 according to the number. I mean,
What's the maximum distance for those things?
What was it? Forget. I read it somewhere. I don't remember what the max distance was. Seemed like it was pretty good though. Let's see.
I noticed some of the new motion detectors are radar for lamps, for the flood lamps, built-in motion detectors. They sent me some, I sent them back. I said, I don't want motion, I want dusk to dawn. I don't want motion. I want them to know I'm watching them before they get spotted.
2 meters. So what is it? Just over 6 foot?
Yeah,
That's maximum or minimum?
It can measure absolute distances up to 2 meter.
Okay. What's
that
the
makes
minimum?
sense because it's reading in millimeters. That would really be a big number.
It actually does not say what the minimum distance is, but I know it's pretty close. Like,
Should be fairly collimated too, if it's Well, I don't know.
Eight
If
of Eight of fruit says 30. They don't have a measurement. 30 to 1,000 millimeters is what they say.
Up to 30 millimeters is pretty close.
That'd be about 1.25 inches.
Yeah.
Yep.
So right there it's saying 20. Right there it's saying it's actually given a reading. And I really did not move much. So 20 is the absolute. So if I'm actually touching the sensor, it should say 20.
Probably gets non-linear. Yeah.
So it's pretty I think it's a little funky when it's off, but or when you're that close, but should be good enough.
Looks good.
They use those they use these in some of the more expensive quadcopters.
Oh, okay. For avoidance.
Yeah. So they're fast. They're fast sensors and they are fairly accurate. I mean, you still got to do some averaging, but they're fairly accurate. So let's see. Okay, here they say, here Eight of Fruit says, they're a little confusing about 5 millimeters to 200 millimeter. That's not right. 50
Yes,
millimeter.
200, 200
millimeter.
is 2 meters. Is right.
Now, is this the same thing as you got from eBay?
Same chip. I think.
The part number, the chip number is the same.
Okay.
So the VL 53L0, it's the same, and it's the same chip that's in. I don't know if you can see that or not. Probably not. It's the same chip that's in this time of flight sensor. It's the same VL 53. You can't see it, but it's the same chip. It's just oriented a little different on in this. It's the same. They're the same. I think this has the level shifter already on it, which I thought was nice. So if you needed to run it on 5 volts, you could. While this, for this, is still only, it'll run off of the 5 volts, but the logic level is still 3 volts, which for this thing isn't going to be a problem because it's 3 volts. But if I wanted to go do something else, 5 volts might be a problem. So having the level shifter on board is a nice extra, a nice bonus. But yeah, that's ultimately what I want to do. And since the grandkid's not going to be here until 3 o'clock tomorrow, I think I'm going to work on that later today.
Excuse me.
I think I'm going to try to figure out what I'm doing.
What's the angle of the sensor? I mean, usually you have an angle, to sense something, minimum diameter or so of the obstacle. I mean, you have a pole, you don't see it. You are not close enough.
The spec, the data sheet might. I don't see that just in. just in the product descriptions anywhere. Data
Does it
sheet.
give a beam width?
Well, I think that's what Vicente is asking.
Yeah, basically, we're trying to see whether the beam is, yeah.
Specified range. Don't. I don't see that anywhere. Let me go back to ST Micro. See if I can download the data sheet. See if the data sheet says.
Now, this would be the data sheet just for the chip.
Just for the chip, yeah.
Okay. It's interesting they're using a 940 nanometer wavelength.
Mike.
Yes.
Mike, you're present. You ever heard of the RoboMo RS630?
Ah, yes. That's I have a RoboMo brand.
Oh, okay.
Your links you sent me also, by the way, I didn't respond.
Okay. Yeah, I found an article on the signal generator using an NE555. It's similar to what I mentioned. And I found
From Robot Shop. Yeah, I bought that. I have that that piece, that generator. Yeah,
okay.
I bought and assembled that.
Okay, there's
And I personally don't have a scope, but I borrowed one, and it was giving me a beautiful, nice square wave.
okay.
But my RoboMo is giving me a different signal. But I was able to match the frequency,
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
and it still didn't sense the wire. So I think what Leroy mentioned, it was running AC with a DC frequency.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's something going on there that some weird thing going on there with how those work. Something that's beyond me, way up here.
Yeah, but that Robot Shop website even shows the exact same model of mower I have down in their lower video. But it's like there's some compatibility issues there.
Uh-huh.
They're also selling in that kit the wire, the perimeter generator, and a receiver. So it's kind of for a DUI type setup.
Yeah, some of them are using the Arduino, and with the Arduino, they're actually encrypting a code into the transmitter. So yeah, there are different varieties of them. Yeah.
So your mower doesn't interfere with your neighbor's mower and so forth and so on?
Yeah. There's like 3 different frequencies you can pick up just in case your neighbor happens to have one. So I took the scope out into the backyard and hooked it up to the perimeter wire, and then hooked up my generator to it and fine-tuned it to match the same frequency. And it still says, I don't recognize it. But see, I was getting that's the one off the Robot Shop. Nice, beautiful square wave.
What's the pulse? What's the pulse width?
Oh, that actually have to, let me see.
Have to put your glasses on.
Yeah. Yeah, I was getting like 39.9 kilohertz. Let me see.
Is that the carrier frequency or is that the
That was
pulse?
off the shoot. What I know about oscilloscopes. This is actually the first I've ever played with it. But it gave me kilohertz. It gave me millivolts.
Well, if it's giving you kilohertz off of the scope, then you are looking at the frequency, the pulse frequency. You're not looking at the carrier frequency.
Oh, okay. And I got a 10 microsecond number down there too.
That's probably the number of microseconds per centimeter.
Okay. Then it's got a period, 25 microseconds.
Yep. So they're about 2.5 centimeters per period. That would be the full period. That's not just the pulse width. That would be the
Oh,
pulse
okay,
width
from-
plus pulse width plus the gap. Oh, look at
Okay.
that. There you go. So what is that?
The emitter looks like 35 degrees and the collector looks like 25 degrees.
Huh. Well, that's pretty tight. That's
It's pretty
going to be
tight.
that's going to be a lot tighter than your acoustic was.
And it was very hard to find. That is on page 30 of 40. So
This is the manual for that device.
yes, yes. So assuming that this is not a Chinese knockoff, then it should be pretty darn close to that, right?
So the emitter is 35 and the detector.
Collector is 25, yeah. They call that the field of view.
Yeah.
So I was looking for another word, and then I came across these cones and went, oh, that's what they're talking about.
So are they circular?
Yes. They look semicircular according to this picture.
We see a section. Yes.
I really, they look kind of circular here
Yeah. Mhm.
and here. It looks like it, but that may just be a picture thing.
Well, that's cool. That should give you. Oh yeah, they're circular. Okay.
Oh, that other thing you circled over there by the red lettering,
Yeah.
that's just engineering notation pointing out the orthographic projection for that top view and front view.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Just relative
okay.
position of them.
Okay.
What is the diameter of the emitter down
Teeny tiny.
there at the base of the cone?
Teeny tiny plus minus 0.5.
That hole right there is, I don't know. It's teeny tiny. Plus 0.05. Plus 0.05. Tiny. Tiny.
So it's 0.05 millimeters built out.
No, that's a tolerancing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is
Is that
this is the
tolerance?
tolerance.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is a tolerance.
Okay.
This
Yeah,
hole, I mean, literally from the naked eye, you can't even see that hole. Now the other side, this hole here that looks a little bigger, you can
Yeah.
see with the naked eye. But this hole here, you can't see it with the naked eye. It's literally not there.
Okay.
So if you took half of that 25 degree
Mm-hmm.
and half of that 35 degree,
Mm-hmm.
and then measured the span between your emitter and your collector, and then trigged it out, that would give you your minimum
Yeah,
Yeah.
sensing rate.
you need interference between both cones to have something.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm not that smart. I'm not
Oh.
good with trig. I'm not good with trig. I believe that it's a very narrow beam though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That should be reasonably precision.
Well, that's somewhere I saw it. It was talking about plus or minus 3. I don't remember where I saw that at.
I think that's plus tolerance of plus or minus 3 millimeters.
I think that's what it was saying. Yes. I don't
Yeah.
remember. I don't remember where I saw that at though. But even in the data sheet, they say I did read where it is recommended to do an average. So a rolling average or some other filtering average. So I'm right. It needs to be averaged out. It's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good.
Yep.
And it's better than the ultrasonics. But yeah, here's another picture without the hole, without the cones. This hole right here is teeny tiny. That is teeny tiny. This whole sensor is tiny. I mean, blinking you miss it, kind of thing. Oh, here's one. I clicked off of the screen share too soon. Here's one. I think they're saying what the holes are. I don't know. That was hidden deep down inside the data sheet, though. Page 30 out of 40.
Is that VL53LOX or L0X?
I believe it's L0X because I
Okay.
believe the other model is a 1, an L1X.
What's the difference between the 0X and the 1X?
Slightly better distance from what I gather between the two.
Okay.
There's not, from what I gather, the 1X is a little bit newer and it's more expensive, but it gives slightly better distance, I believe. I believe that's what I read. And for what I wanted to do, I didn't think adding another couple of feet was going to make a big difference. At least not for the cost, not for the cost they wanted for the other chips.
Applying the Leroy financial test threshold of pain.
Well, yeah, I mean, if the other ones would have been as much or cheaper than the ones I bought, of course I would have bought them, right? That's the pain level. I don't need that much distance, but it's cheaper. Why not?
So now you're gonna have to rebuild the program once you get them wired in there?
Luckily, the way this program was set up to begin with, rebuilding it is going to be fairly simple because all I have to do is change. Hey, your drink disappeared. All I have to do is
It's a
change.
green bottle.
All I have to do is change how the ultrasonics. Just replace that with how these sensors are read, and
Mhm.
modify a couple of numbers so that, you know, 20 would be my bottom number, and whatever it was, 1500 or whatever it was my top number.
So
And
you
then
just
I'm
have to remap it then, right?
that's all I'm going to do is just remap the numbers to fit into the parameters for the other sensor. That's exactly what I was going to do, was just remap it. But my rolling average thing should still work, and everything else should still work. I just basically I need to change the way that the sensors are being read. I mean, probably make sure that I'm got reading the left sensor when I should be reading the left sensor and reading the right sensor. So I'm sure there will be a little bit of trial and error, but I think it should be fairly simple to convert this over.
You have to do some training, or just you copy a table from a web page. How do you have the values? It's a table.
The table already is working fairly well with the ultrasonics. So that's why I just thought I would just map the values, and I verified that the values are above 20 or below the 1500 or whatever it was, the upper value. And just map in between 0 and whatever, putting them back into the table. So at least that was my plan. We'll see how well that works, but that was the idea. That was the thought. The map thing does really neat stuff. So since I think, you know, going from this platform to this platform will be far more challenging than just adding new sensors. You know, because this platform works a whole lot differently than a two-wheel robot. So. We still haven't gotten any rain. Dun, dun, dun.
This is my emulator.
Oh,
That's
cool.
going. Can you see it? But this
It's a little out of focus.
as always. At least it's consistent.
There, that was good. Well, it was for, there we go. Right
There it is.
This is an 80 mega. It believes that he is a Zeta 80. And this is my keyboard. I made this keyboard with my laser cutter. I use the plastic panels from Ray and made this keyboard. You can select any address and check the content. Next. And execute any
Yep.
program.
Cool.
This is a CIDA code in assembler running in the CIDA simulator inside the 80 mega. So everything is going fine now.
Neat.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There is a button here to stop.
I like that snake program. That's pretty cool.
This is a demo program. You can check any address.
Uh-oh.
1000 memory exam here, and this is the content, and then you press next address. You can change the value. For example, if I change this value 0.4 and run the program, will be, this is a delay number, and this is way faster.
Interesting.
The same program.
Yep.
This is the 200D. For was let me put sorry.
Just that simple.
Yeah. I will populate this board with a cassette interface to save and load programs from a cassette tape, a recorder, and that is how it's going. I have a picture of how I made the board. Let me share the screen. This is the keyboard. You see? I use.
wait.
You see something?
Jenny, I'm not seeing.
Nothing. Stop.
There are keyboards.
Share screen. Screen one. Share. Now.
There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
I use this switch. You can buy the cap of the switch and a transparent cover for the switch. And then I printed these labels, put inside the transparent cover.
That's very nice looking.
Yeah,
Very nice.
I cut a couple of plastic boards, one to align the switches and another one to align the caps. You see, there are
Yeah.
Mhm.
two levels. This is the switch alignment, and this is the K-cap alignment level. So the final result is this. And it works pretty well.
Looks very nice.
You can make any keyboard using this technique. I am using a laser cutter, a very cheap one, with diode. This
Oh,
looks like
okay.
a couple. I don't know. This you can spend 5 minutes trying to cut this. It's very slow, but works. Works
Like
very well.
one of the blue lasers. One of the
Yes,
blue laser diodes.
It's yes, it's a blue laser. Yeah,
Yeah.
a diode. 5 watts.
How many watts?
5. Usually a laser machine use 80 watts. This is like 20 times less power.
And
But
takes
you-
20 times longer.
Exactly. But it's really cheap, so I like it. You can do whatever at home. With a little bit of patience.
Very nice.
Yep.
I don't know if I have another pictures. Okay, this is the program, the laser software. You design your thing and you specify the power and speed of each color. So, and the order, the last cut will be the outside border in black is the outside to remove the part completely. This is the labels I made and printed. This is the mighty core, the 80 mega. This is the schematic. I designed all the parts. It's working. This is the back of the keyboard. All the keys connected in columns and rows. And the display is here, the LEDs with the resistors to limit the current here. See?
Nice.
I put all the wires aligned with this board, so I don't need to put any wire here. It's very clean, very easy.
Plug and play.
Yeah, yes, it was. It took time to do it, but after it, you have something that works.
Just
Yep.
putting together all the photographs
Yeah.
and doing all that is a chore within itself.
Yeah, first I made this mask to align all the switches because you can solder them a little bit right, left, up, down, and then will be a problem. So I make sure that all of them are in place before solder, and these holes align with this another holes to make sure that the caps are aligned also. So everything went well. This is the laser cutting through the plastic and into the board under. You can see the plastic pieces removed,
Mhm.
the holes. I made this as an experiment to define how much power I need to cut the raised plastic. And by the way, Ray gave up this plastic for me, several of them. Thank you, him. Thanks to him.
I'm impressed that it cut it.
Yes, it's very, very good.
What wavelength of laser is that? You said it was blue?
It's color. I don't remember. It's more red. The glasses are green. The protection glasses. So this is
We're going over.
okay. That was my hardware project. The keypad.
Very nice.
Also all the base of the was made in the laser, the plastic. You see, with the holes to put the breadboards, the screws, and everything was aligned. So the base is also made with the laser.
Okay, very good. Yeah, everybody, Joe Biden will be on Jimmy Kimmel Live tonight. I know all of you want to see that.
Are you sure we all want to see that?
I was being facetious, of course.
Oh. Okay.
This is for 4 watts.
One like that?
Mine is 5 watts, but it's very, very close to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that CW or pulse?
No, you can control the power with a PWM, I think. Turning on and off very, very fast.
But the laser itself is CW.
I don't know.
I don't know if it's going to tell you a whole lot about that because there's dozens of different kinds of those laser diodes. I saw somebody build a laser cutter with a broken Blu-ray player. So
There is a lot of misinformation to sell lasers cutters because they use some vendors use the power consumption of the laser and not the effective power in the beam. So the effective power is 5 watts, but they say that the dial is 20 watts.
20 watts, yeah.
But this is the
So they're
power that it uses, but it's not the power you have in your work.
So they're confusing
Yeah.
input power with output power.
Yeah, but
Well,
it's
they're
deliberate.
they're not confusing anything.
No.
They're trying to make it sound like their thing is better than it is.
Exactly.
So they're obfuscating it. I think is the word.
Yeah.
Obfuscate would be a nice way of saying that. Yes.
This is my
Don't believe the hype. Even Vicente's 5-watt laser may not actually be a 5-watt laser.
this is the machine I bought. The Arthur is 5.5 watts output.
Yeah.
Yeah. See? But you can find machines by half the price. The problem is that the laser is less pointing. Is the beam is wider, so you have
need a
less power. You can cut a thick material with a thicker, a wider beam. So you need a very narrow beam to make cuts. So that's why the price of this thing. Okay,
yeah.
This is the.
Was this a kit?
Yes,
Or
you have to assemble everything there.
Yeah.
In a couple of hours, you can have everything together. This is the laser.
Yep.
And you can buy the laser head separately for another vendors if there are new models with better performance.
Mm-hmm.
So
You could
this is a video. I don't know how
I've seen people take old 3D printers and put laser heads on them.
the laser.
So they're using the XY drive for
They are very good for engraving.
Yeah. Well, that's what they sell those for. It's a laser engraver
Yeah.
that Vicente made work as a cutter.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
If you look around, I think you can have machines for less price. Look at this one, $279.
I bet if you look really hard, you could find them even cheaper than that.
You see, this is half the price. You can have $2.99. There are plenty of offers. This one, well, is different, but it's the same brand. It's not. It's only 2 axes. I mean, the frame is more simple. I don't like it, but it's cheaper. This one is $242. There are several groups in Facebook that use this tool, and they share a lot of ideas and information. But I am focusing my stuff. I just want to cut plastic.
What does that smell like when you're cutting the plastic?
Well, depend on the plastic. This one, I think it doesn't smell bad, but I used to open the, you see the laser there in the window. I used to open the window and use a fan. It's at my back to blow up all the gases. So there is no smell at all in my office. So what happened with the tank? 7.
Yep.
We are not in the library. Okay.
We're not in the library, but
Oh my God.
I do have to go get food because I'm getting hungry.
next time bring sandwich.
Next time, bring sandwiches. You know, Wednesday has become our day to go grocery shopping, so we don't have much food in the house. I'm going to have to go grocery shopping and get food.
When you're hungry is not a good time to go grocery shopping.
I know, but you know, there's a in the Kroger we go to, there's usually pizza, so we could go and have a pizza, and then we could go grocery shopping. So,
how is going the gas prices in California?
About
Oh.
$6.50.
Well, how? $6.50.
$6.50.
Oh, wow. Okay, today I pay $5 for the regular gasoline. Wow.
yeah.
We don't drive very much, so it doesn't matter. But you know, it's
I'll be driving there next week. Remember,
okay.
I'll be between Stanford
Oh,
and Napa Valley around.
So you're taking your daughter to Stanford.
Yeah, and I rent a car for 4 days, and I'll be around San Francisco. next
Okay.
week.
Well, you'll I don't know what the price will be by next week, but for regular, something around Costco is our preferred place to buy gasoline because they're always discounted. And I think my wife got gasoline at Costco for $5.90 something last week. And I see as we drive around, it depends on which station you go by. I mean, some stations take advantage of the fact that they're close to the freeway exits and that sort of thing. And then they'll be $6.90, $7, whatever. But $6, $6.25, about right.
Today I put gas in the Costco on Loveland, and I save 50 cents each gallon using the Costco card. But this is to each month you have the depending on how you spend in their stores,
Mhm.
you have more saving. So
So this is not at a Costco gas station.
what's
this
what's
is
a,
you- Oh, it
what's a Costco gas station inside Costco in Loveland?
Loveland?
In the same in the Madeira Loveland.
Mason.
No, Loveland, Madeira Loveland
Exit?
way drive or
Okay,
there is a Costco close to Loveland.
this is at,
No,
What-
no, sorry, no Costco. Kroger, sorry.
Kroger, there you
Kroger.
They're not
go.
the same.
because I was gonna
That's
say,
not the
Kroger.
same.
Costco doesn't work.
No, Costco is in another
No,
place.
in Kroger,
Yeah.
depending on how much money you spend, you
Yeah,
get
exactly.
credit against
Sure.
gas. But in
Yeah.
Costco, you just pay whatever they've got at the pumps there.
Okay.
And those tend to be 10%, 5 to 10% below.
Oh, I will check there because I have the Costco card
Yeah.
to save something there.
There's
Nice.
one there in, I guess it's Mason or whatever, and then there's one over in Sharonville.
Okay.
There's two in north of Cincinnati. There's also, I think, one down in Kentucky someplace.
Yeah, I think there's one up in near Dayton, isn't there?
There is, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife's gone up there when she goes to visit our outlaws, so to speak, who live in Miamiville.
I think I've got 40 cents right now on my Kroger card. I can save 40 whopping cents.
Okay.
But by the end of the day, I should be closer to $1, I think.
Well,
That would be very helpful. But I think unless somebody's got something else, I think we're going to call it a night because
Yeah.
I'm getting hungry.
well done. Okay.
Okay, well, you have a good dinner.
This is an emergency. Okay.
Ah,
Understood.
food outranks everything.
Okay. See you all.
Good to see
Take
you all.
care. See you next week.
Yeah,
Bye.
we'll see
Bye-bye.
everybody later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.